home, out alone, and show me the way. You wanna be a part of Sunset Boulevard.
Good evening, everyone. How you doing? My name is Zach Clayton, Community Pay It Forward, Community Dare to Care, and the pACT channels. We've got a shorter show this evening. As I mentioned before, we will be lightening our load a little bit and shortening our shows. We're going to try to get back to about an hour and a half on Wednesdays and 1 hour on Fridays. We have some news that we need to pass along. It's not something I'm looking forward to saying, but it's something that I have to say, that an era is coming to an end, and like my camera obviously is coming to an end. But the donation dens are going away. We will be getting rid of the donation dens, hopefully temporarily, but I'm not going to count on that. I know right now it's just costing more money than we have to deal with them, and life is getting in the way of being able to maintain the standards that I have grown to accept or respect of myself, require of myself. I'm very, very sorry. So we will be phasing out the donation dens by the end of the year. And that is just one of the things that is going to have to go away for the time being. We do have a great interview. It's a longer interview today with a fantastic friend of mine, Chad Harrison. This interview does last for a little over an hour, and we will be talking to him very shortly. We've got a request from our friends at Project Die Hard that we mentioned that they have a GoFundMe page for their one of their newest I'm sorry, this is killing me. They've got a new fob being built, and they've got a GoFundMe page out there. All you have to do is go to GoFundMe and look up Project Die Hard, and you will be able to find it. I will find it hopefully, and I'll be able to link it. Or if Brian, if you're still on, and it doesn't look like you are, maybe. Fob Rush Remodel. Okay, so it's the Fob Rush Remodel. Yeah, Brian, if you want to share the link with us, that would be great. But just go on to there. Once again, Project Die Hard is one of our mission partners, so you can, at any point in time, you can take and use one of our partners, shop with them, and a portion of the proceeds will go to Fob Rush. All you have to do is simply choose them, and this right here is how that looks. you can find all the information about that on Project Diehard 22 on Facebook. So just go to Facebook and go to Project Diehard 22, and you can find all the information about that. As you guys can all see, I've lost quite a bit of facial hair. I do have fun in November for No Shave November. So maybe it's a good thing that my camera's going out, like right there. And that way nobody can see me anymore. This is turning out to be one heck of a show. So you know what? We're just going to go on ahead and play the interview I did with Chad Harrison of Biocentrik. Please, if you have any questions for Chad, let me know, and I will share those questions with him, and I will get the answers, and I will respond to you as soon as possible. But here is Chad Harrison from Biocentrik. This was a fun interview to do. He's one of my longtime partners, a great friend, and he will be joining us on the 13th for the chili cook-off. So if you want to come and meet Chad and Madeline, I suggest you meet us at the chili cook-off on November 13th. Well, looky here. It's a shaved ape and his guest, Chad Harrison. That's right. I have shaved for No Shave November because, well, I thought it was funny until I realized that I've got 6 faces under all that hair. So thank God I grow hair quickly, and you won't have to look at this again. Unless, of course, you're going to rewatch this. Hey, everybody. My name is Zach Clayton, president and founder of Community Pay It Forward, Community Dare to Care, and the pACT channels. I am joined by Chad Harrison, a long-time partner of ours here at Community Pay It Forward. Chad, how you doing, brother?
Zach, I'm doing well. Well, thank you so much for asking. How about you? How are you doing?
You know, like I said, other than just doing this for the last, 48 hours, I guess I've been okay. It's just so weird, not having anything there, so, but yeah, we're doing okay. You and your partner, Madeline, joined us because we met in a networking group, and you guys were talking about the art of healing naturally. And I have a huge issue with doctors pushing medications and all this other stuff, partly because through my own incident, my own accident, I've had issues with medications and stuff. You guys have all kinds of healing instructions, and it's not all meditation, is it?
No, we've got a pretty big list, pretty big repertoire, so to speak. We've got ways that we have essentially turned ourselves into a human programmer, and we're able to run a debugging software on the subconscious mind to see where these different traumas and events had created false beliefs or limiting beliefs. And we've also got the knowledge, meditation, yoga, sound healing and therapy, breath work, as well as herbal remedies, plant medicines. I kind of had found myself being a jack of all trades. And within that, it's been really great, Zach, because I've been able to pull a bunch of different things and pull it all together and say, this piece fits here, this piece fits here, and look at this new thing, how beautiful, amazing it is. And that's exactly what we did with emotional transfiguration therapy. It's a healing modality that both Madeline and I have created over the last 5 to 6 years. And it allows for us to literally pull physical pain out of the body, mental, emotional, depression, anxiety. I've helped people with low back issues all the way to migraines. I've helped people over the phone even, Zach. I had a woman probably about 2 months ago that she's having severe migraine and had it for about a week. I talked to her on the phone for 20 minutes, Zach. 20 minutes. That's all it took, and her migraine disappeared. It wasn't even an intensive healing sort of thing. We were just talking. We identified about 2 or 3 beliefs that seemed to be causing the pain in the head. And once we changed those and we changed them instantly, the effects are felt instantly. And people like I do this thing where say, oh, okay, this is the situation. This is what's been bothering me. This is what's been causing the emotional pain. We identify, okay, this is the thing that you're talking about, and here's the original trauma that you've covered up, stacked up with all these other things, this is what this is really about. So we change that, and then we ask that person, we say, okay, so now thinking about that situation that had happened to you last week, how does it feel in your body? How do you feel about it? And Zach, there has never been a time when somebody said, well, it doesn't feel any different. And there have been times when they're like, well, it doesn't feel that much different. And so then we just dive in deeper and we say, okay, that wasn't the root cause. Then there's another stack over here that's also contributing to this issue. We're able to find the bottom layer of that, pull it, that stack just dissolves. And then they get that instant pain relief, that instant anxiety, depression, PTSD relief. And this is exactly what I have been seeking and searching for myself, for my own journey, Zach, because in my life there have been a few different traumas that have helped to, and I say this very intentionally, helped to shape me into the person that I am and the work that I do. And one of those main things, the really major turning point for me in my life, when I was 19 years old, I was in college, and I had 3 roommates, and one of the roommates didn't know that the issue was this bad. He was having depression, and he was having suicidal ideations. And one night we were all gathered, and it was probably 11:30 at night, and we heard a loud noise, and we realized it was a gunshot, and he took his own life in the house while we were home. And he didn't die right away either. So I opened the door and I experienced that. And for me, that sent me into probably a 7-year cycle of depression and anxiety, and really asking those major questions that I didn't want to ask before, that I was too scared, I was too afraid to ask. And they had me on 4 different medications. And Zach, this is exactly why I completely agree with you, and I'm on the same page as far as the medication perspective. There's absolutely a place for it, and sometimes it's necessary. And there are lots of natural things that we can use as preventatives, right? Instead of treating the thing when it's a problem, let's prevent it, right? So through this whole process, I was on 4 different medications, and I found meditation. And I did 10 minutes a day for 30 days, just 10 minutes. That's all it took. And after that 30th day, I stopped taking all of my medications cold turkey, because I felt that I was at that point that I could. And I'm not advising this for anyone, right? I'm not saying stop taking all your medications cold turkey. For me, it was what I needed, and it's what worked. And I had nearly 0 withdrawal symptoms. There were 3 nights that I had issues sleeping, but I was on at the time one of the most hardcore medications that the person I was working with, the doctor, he said, I've actually never had a patient get off this medication before. Most of the time, this is something you're taking for life. And I said, that's a crock of crap, is what I said, Zach. And I found out that was true. I found out that when I used my beliefs, I could create my reality, because our beliefs create our reality.
And I just want to say, as a person who has who has allowed you to dig into my headaches, you are right. You do feel. And I am not a person who, I don't believe in voodoo. I don't believe in, my wife is a paranormal investigator. Okay. I'm a skeptic. I'm not sure if it's real. Okay, this is very well known. Everybody knows this. My wife plays with ghosts. I don't really do that. I'm a guy who, I if I can touch it, feel it, see it, experience it, I believe it. I know that after a couple sessions with you, I was able to kick back for a few minutes and go, wow, I don't have a headache for a minute. And for me, it's been 8 straight years of constant headaches. And it's such a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful feeling to be able to sit there and have just that clarity and just the relaxing. And I really think that the relaxing had a lot to do with it. Excuse me, because I know me personally, I I run full speed as long as I can until I can no longer do it. And then because of the head injury, there's times that when I do that, I end up hurting myself in the long run. But I mean, it's kind of one of those things that too too silly to stop. Yeah, that has a lot to do with it. But I do know that I fully trust you, and I fully enjoyed doing this. Um, and I've heard your story. You and I have talked about your story, and as we've discussed with finding rediscovering the happy place. We're trying to find that place where we are able to open conversations with people making those end of life decisions. And so we love having you as part of our team just because of that reason. When you found Madeline's been dealing for years and years and years with migraines. Can you give us a little bit of background on in which she's unfortunately not here with us, but
Yeah. Yeah. So she actually started experiencing migraines when she was 16 years old, for the very first time. And it just slowly got worse and worse and worse. And it got to the point to where she had to quit her job, her day job, and she had to rely on, other people to help her with things. And when she was feeling well and she was able to go, she did. And there would just be every once in a while when this migraine thing would come in. And so what I've found, Zach, with specifically with migraines, I've worked with multiple different folks that have had migraines, and there's a similarity between them, and there's also a major variety. For like this woman, that I helped in 20 minutes get rid of her migraine just over the phone. Um, that one was the quickest and easiest that I had ever really dealt with. Um, and with Madeline, it was more of a 3-year journey. And we're really nearing the end of this. So, I mean, when I first met her, she would have a migraine and she'd be out for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month. And
mhm.
there's a couple days in there where it would be okay and things would be they would be pretty good, and there would still be rest required. And ever since really we developed this healing modality out of necessity, out of absolute necessity, because we wanted our relationship to be the best it could possibly be. We wanted our health to be the best it could possibly be. And with emotional transfiguration therapy, ET, we have gotten Madeline to the point where if she has a migraine in that month, it's maybe 1 or 2 days, and she's only down for a couple of hours and then is right back up. And which is a totally different experience than in the past. Like I said, it'd be 2 or 3 weeks. And so it's a massive improvement, not only for her physical health, but also for her mental health. That being sick really had tended to wear on people in the past. And a lot of times, I see people and they say, I want to heal. I want to feel healthy. I want to feel better. And we start to talk. And I start to realize and I see how that specific pain, like, maybe it's a pain in my rib here that I've had ever since I had this illness. And it just Hasn't gone away. It's been debilitating for the last 5 years. I haven't been able to find relief. And we dig in a little bit deeper, and there's resistance, and there's a whole lot of resistance, because every single thing, Zach, the depression, the anxiety, it has a positive intention. For Madeline, the migraine, the positive intention was take time for yourself, rest, relax, don't do all of these other things that everyone asks of you because they ask it of you. Make your own decisions, and take that time for yourself. And a lot of times what I find with people is they're dealing with this pain for 5 or 6 years, and that pain had allowed them to stay home, to skip out on going out into public, and to get other people to do things for them. And so sometimes, Zach, this work can be challenging. It has been in the past. We have to look at some things that might be a little uncomfortable. And the beauty in the work that we do is that uncomfortability is a communication. As soon as we see what it's communicating, it's no longer necessary. It's like an email. You read through it. Well, there's no reason for me to keep this. Let's delete it. We don't need it anymore, right? That pain, that discomfort, anxiety, depression, it just goes away because it ultimately is a communication. It's communicating that, hey, there's something that is not right here. There's something that you need to look at. There is a trauma that has not been processed.
Pain very rarely does show up when it's not, you know, for no reason. You know, when you're injured, pain shows up because it needs to let you know, hey, how we deal with that really depends a lot on you yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
And and of course we know that some people, as you just said, you know, some people use it to an extreme, and others tend to choose to try to ignore it for as long as
Mm-hmm.
they can. And neither of those are recommended, are they?
No, and really, you know, I'm not digging on people here as far as those who use it to an extreme, because ultimately they don't see that, they don't realize that, and that's why the pain is persistent,
Mhm.
because they don't see that that the pain was there and then it could have gone away, but these other things that they've been gaining, the positive intention of it, now they've been gaining so much that letting go of the pain is more painful and perhaps less beneficial from the subconscious mind's perspective, not from the conscious person in the body, right? This is the subconscious mind trying to keep you safe and trying to save energy. Ultimately, that is the goal of the subconscious mind. Because again, when we can save energy, we then have the ability to run. We have the ability to fight, that fight or flight, if we need to. That is the job of the subconscious mind. And so those people unknowingly have trapped themselves in a pain cycle, in a pain loop. And when they're willing to look at it, they're willing to see, oh, okay, then it allows them to move forward. You know, I know that, as an example, in the past, when I had that depression and that anxiety from that incident that I had witnessed, um, in telling people about that, I would tell them my story, and I realized I had to take a hard, long look in the mirror, Zach. And I realized that I was telling that story to gain sympathy from people, to gain,
Mhm.
break down those walls and create that close intimacy, that close bond, which is what I desired so desperately, was to have friends, was to be close to people, was to have people understand what I went through. And I decided one day, I said, no more. No longer am I going to use this in this way. And that was rough. It was a wake up call, and I had to shake myself. I had to, you know, have a little bit of tough love for myself. And now when I share that story, I share it when I feel called to share it. I share it so that people understand that they're not alone in their depression. They're not alone in their anxiety. I've been there. I understand at a very detailed and deep level. Here's my story, and here's how I found my way out. There is hope. That is the message that I want to deliver. That the Chad in the present moment chooses to tell that story, the intention that is there.
I used to it almost seemed like it was a necessity, to where I used to start almost every conversation when I would talk about community pay it forward. I used to start it with the story on how it was created, the motorcycle accident, how it got started. I believe that it is still a very vital story to be told, but I no longer start like conversations this way. I
Mm.
try not to. I can tell when, as you were just saying, you can kind of tell when you're starting to lose people a little bit and you need to drag them in a little bit. There's that point in time when you say, here's where I need to bring it in and get them, help the confusion on their part. Here's where we can take and straighten it out and get them to understand it a little bit. And so now I know that there's, a time and a place to bring that in, but I understand where you're going with that. You two opened and I'm going to ask you to repeat it, even though you just told me a little bit ago. And the Rainbow Tribe ERT. Can you please tell this story again, now that we've got the old record button on, because this is so great. I love this story.
Yeah, absolutely. So what I'm doing right now, Zach, is I'm actually pulling up some pictures, and I can send a few of these to you, or we'll see if they show up. They show up pretty nicely. Okay.
Yeah.
So when we first put this yurt up, we did a ceremony, and we did a groundbreaking ceremony, and we asked the earth. We said, okay, is this the right spot for the yurt? Do we have your blessing? After 45 minutes of the ceremony, a bunch of people gathered. We turn around and look at the butte behind the house. And Zach, this was the beautiful rainbow that appeared there. And I mean, this thing lasted for quite a while. And I've got an even close up picture. This is one of the most vivid rainbows I've ever seen in my life. You can see all of the colors very, very vividly. It turned into a double, into a triple rainbow. I mean, double rainbow all the way, man. It was absolutely beautiful. And so we had a group of people up in Fort Collins that also had a yurt, and it was kind of the inspiration for the desire to get yurt and build community down here, down south in this area. Where we have a lot of veterans. There's a lot of veterans in the Springs, and I really, I have a close connection with that. My cousin is a veteran, and I really want to be able to help some of these guys with the depression, PTSD, that sort of thing. And so, the name of the yurt up in Fort Collins is the Rainbow Wings Yurt, and this rainbow happened. And so we decided to name the yurt Rainbow Tribe Yurt. And it even has a double meaning with this, which is so cool. Because really we wanted this yurt to be inclusive for every single person. And that is really where the idea of rainbow comes from. When we think of the rainbow tribe of Earth, we're talking about all of the people from all of the different corners, all of the different shades of skin color, the different color of hair, the different color of eyes, the different ways of living and being, the different religions. A rainbow is a blending of all the colors that we know. And when all the colors that our eyes are able to see. And when we bring all these things together and we blend something, all these different puzzle pieces, all of a sudden we have a full picture, and it makes a whole heck of a lot more sense than it ever did before. So this yurt, Zach, we built all ourselves. It was a process, man. We used a surveyor scope to get this thing is even, brother. This is level to 1/32 of an inch. This is a piano. And so we've got the platform there. We start to get the lattice up. We had to build a scaffolding in the center to get the ring. And finally, we started to get the skin on there. And this is more what it looks like now. And so I'm just going to find a picture in the album here to kind of show the interior. This is our healing space, Zach. This is where we do all the healing work. This is where we hold all of our group events, by the way. And, I just actually drove up to Fort Collins last night, and it was about an hour and 40 minutes. It's, right there near Greeley. So anybody who's local in the area, it's really not a long drive. And if we have a group of folks that are more regulars that want to come to some of these events, this is a 30-foot yurt, folks. A 30-foot yurt, 706 square feet. We don't live in it. We have a 3-bedroom house on our property here that we live in. And so that yurt would be available for anybody who wanted to come up and then stay the night. We're absolutely happy to help with the community building with staying the night. We've got a wonderful wood stove that keeps it about 50 to 60 degrees above what it is outside. That's kind of more the floor with the dome ceiling. It's an absolute beautiful space. And then, here's kind of a picture of the sky, kind of more of the state gorgeous. And I'll zoom in here because our most recent addition, Zach, is we found a 28-foot semi-truck trailer that we converted into a tiny home. And it's got 2 composting toilets in it. So we have restroom facilities right out there, and we're continuing the construction on the mudroom. So for people to come in and take their coat and their shoes off and have it be totally covered. And this is just absolutely a beautiful space. And here is the coup de grace of all of the pictures I've ever taken of this yurt. It is just an absolutely beautiful space. We have buttes surrounding us. We are over the hill from the highway, so you can't see the highway, and very rarely can you hear it. Most of the time, we're actually far enough from Denver and far enough from the Springs that you can see the Milky Way galaxy.
Wow.
It's pretty cool.
And you guys are in which the name that most people are going to associate with it. You guys are in the Castle Rock area.
Yeah, we are about halfway between Castle Rock and Monument.
Okay.
So it's technically Larkspur is our address. However, we are not in the city of Larkspur, and we're on the east side of the highway. It's a beautiful community out here that all the homes have got 10-acre lots, and this was why we purchased this house. We purchased this land to put this yurt on there. This has been the intention the whole time. We could have bought, with we could have probably double the square foot buying a house in Castle Rock or in Monument with the purchase price for this property, and we decided we really wanted to build community. It's so incredibly important to us. And this is exactly why, Zach, we're offering 3 totally free, and it's going to be 4 and 5 coming here soon, classes each month. I am dedicating almost 20 hours. I'm donating of my time to sit with folks, to help them heal, to help them understand themselves on a deeper level, and to be healthy. We've got a couple of other events that we're doing. We've got the community breathwork. So the breathwork is a beautiful practice. And what it does is we're getting all of the CO2 out of the body. We're detoxing all the CO2. And when that happens, the oxygen level is not higher in our blood. However, there's more oxygen available to our cells. And so they start this detox process. We start to actually detox the physical toxins out of the body and the emotions and the traumas. And so the experience that people can have in this space is they can feel different sensations in the body, different energies moving in the body. They can feel They can have a visual experience. I mean, I sat with these people one time, and this kid, he was like a 17-year-old kid. He gets done with the breath work and he sits there afterwards and he sits up and he's just got this look on his face like of utter awe and amazement. And so we get around to him and he's like, I just had the most amazing experience ever. I floated through the universe, the solar system, on a unicorn that breathed fire. It was so crazy. It was so incredible. And I mean, this kid was totally sober, was totally in his right state of mind, and had this experience because we have the ability. Our ancestors have been gathering to do this breath work, to do chanting, mantra, dancing for thousands of years. So Zach, the event that you're showing right now, that is really the only paid event that we have right now. We've got just the one, and it's a sound healing breathwork retreat. It's $40 per person. And what it does is we dive a little bit deeper in the group healing and sound healing aspect than we do in the community breathwork. The community breathwork is more focused on getting people together to create that sense of community. That's really more focused. This is going to be community gathering, more focused on individual healing and people's and group healing. And so we have two other events that we're doing, which are a new moon and a full moon circle. And each of those events, so far, they have been absolutely incredible. Yeah, there's the new moon circle. We did a bay leaf ceremony where we write not the things. So we think about the things that we don't want anymore in our life. And then we take it one step further, Zach, and we talk about the things that we want to move into, the things we want to create for ourselves. So let's say that our goal is we eat so much chocolate cake and we're like, I got to stop, man. The chocolate cake thing is really getting to me, right? And so instead of writing on the bay leaf, I don't want to eat chocolate cake anymore. Subconscious mind does not understand negatives. It hears, I do want to eat chocolate cake anymore. That's what the subconscious mind hears. Kind of creates some confusion. So what we do is we say, I want to eat healthy. That's what we write on the bay leaf. And then we throw it into the wood stove, into the fire, and watch these things burn. And it sends our messages and our prayers into the ether, into divine ears, into the universal consciousness that creates reality for us. With the full moon circle, and in the new moon circle, we also did breath work as well. So it may be breath work, it may be ecstatic dance, it may be sound healing. We kind of just allow for spirit to guide us and see which thing is the right thing for this event. And so that's really cool because there's some variability, and we may or may not announce it right before. Whatever we're going to do, though, is going to be absolutely incredible. I tell you. And I tell you this because in just a 3-hour mini retreat, it felt like a 3-day weekend retreat with people I've known for a really long time. Everybody was so close and so connected, and everybody spoke to that. From their heart, they said, wow, I have never been able to find a sense of family outside of my own family. And there was even, communication that I've never been able to find this sense of family within my own family.
Yeah.
And so that's really what we're trying to build. The full moon circle is absolutely beautiful because what we're doing is we are honoring a lot of the Native American tradition with this. And a lot of the people who I've been working with have some Native American descent. Supposedly, I've got some as well. It's a very, very, very small fraction. And the native peoples honored the moon and everything that they gave and everything that the moon gave them, because the moon creates the tides. It stirs the oceans and allows for our climate to be stable. If we didn't have the moon, our climate would be a little bit hotter and it would be more variable. And so with the full moon, we also are doing a Native American tobacco ceremony. And this tobacco ceremony, Zach, is beautiful and it's amazing because you do not have to actually imbibe the tobacco to participate. That's right. If you never smoke tobacco and you don't want to, that is totally okay. you show up and you participate. And what we do is we give you a smoke blessing. So whoever is the one who has got the peace pipe and they're passing it around, they would take the smoke and they would smudge you with it, maybe your feet or wherever it is that you'd like that. So everyone gets to participate in this, and everyone gets to see, Zach, because there are people who use tobacco, right? And what I found in my studies, I've been studying ethnobotany here recently. Very, very deep studies. So the indigenous people, the study of ethnobotany is the study of the relationship between indigenous peoples and the plants that they use for medicine. And tobacco is incredibly powerful, purgative, and purgative. And in the Amazon jungle, if you get bitten by a snake that's a poisonous snake, the first thing that they do is run into the jungle and find tobacco. And they either have you eat some of the leaves, or they crush it up and they make like a kind of a paste, or just like put some water on it and you apply it directly to the skin, and it pulls the venom out of the skin. It is incredible. I got stung by a wasp. The first time I've ever been stung. I had a wasp nest actually that showed up in the truck bed, and I went in and I was pulling the ratchet strap off. We just got some wood or something. We were unloading out at the yurt, and this wasp comes out and stings me. And I had just learned about this tobacco and the way that they used it previously, and so I went inside and I got some tobacco, put some water on it, did a poultice, wrapped it around my hand, left it there for about 2 hours. And I'm like, okay, I'm done with this now. I take it off. I can't even find where the wasp stung me. It wasn't inflamed. It did not hurt. And it never hurt after that at all. I was so surprised because I had never seen tobacco used this way before. And so we've developed these relationships with these plants, and we can help to guide people how to have a healthy, responsible, and respectful relationship with these plants. We're talking tobacco, we're talking cannabis, and guess what? Alcohol is also a plant medicine. We are experts in guiding people on how to have if they want to have a relationship with that plant, we can help to guide them have a positive, good relationship. And just to provide an example, everything that I do and I speak to and I offer to people, I have tried before. I don't offer things that I have not gone through and done and tried myself. And so with the tobacco thing, we were, and I specifically, I was using tobacco anywhere from 10 to 18 times a day. I had this 3-month little spurt where I just started to really dive into it. And really what happens and what I find is that when you approach tobacco from a ceremonial perspective, you actually feel the plant spirit come into the body. It starts here, and it's this like very masculine sort of, almost a penetrative sort of energy. And when you open up and allow it to come in, you'll feel it come in, and you'll feel these different blockages in the central channel in the body, and you'll feel them being moved to the side. And so, Zach, what I found in my own personal experience, the nicotine is not what is addictive. It is the feeling that not the feeling, the buzz, but the clearing of the emotions that we've stuffed down. That is what people are seeking. That is why it's addictive. That's why somebody wakes up the next morning and like, oh, I got to have a cigarette to feel normal, because they don't have the tools. They don't know how to do the healing work on themselves. And when you know how to do the healing work on yourself, ETT, right? Emotional transfiguration therapy. You can then heal those things that the plant is showing you. And so I had to test myself, Zach, because I said, okay, 10 to 18 times a day, that's probably a little excessive. I think I need to check myself on this one. I was using it ceremonially, which means that I was stepping into it. I was actually using something called hape, which is a powder snuff sort of thing. And I step into it and I take a crystal very intentionally and I align my energy centers in the body. And the energy centers are really just related to nerve clusters, right? So you've got a nerve cluster here. There's a small nerve cluster here. There's actually a brain in the heart, and a brain is something that puts out chemicals and reuptakes them, and a neural cluster. We've also got one in our gut, and we've got multiple different smaller nerve clusters that are not considered brains in these different areas where the chakra systems align with.
Right.
Now, electrical current running through the body creates a magnetic field. That's the aura. That's the vortex that the chakra creates. So when we do this healing work on this, it opens things up. It heals it at the level of the trauma. And so I stopped using that tobacco. And the very next day, I had zero cravings, Zach. Zero cravings. There was one time that day when I said, man, I think sitting with tobacco would be really pretty good right now. And it wasn't a craving. And I speak to this from experience because in college, I smoked cigarettes for about a year and a half. And I got up to about 7 cigarettes and I'm like, okay, this is not good for Chad. I'm done. And I quit cold turkey. That's exactly how my grandmother quit. And I was told that that was the way to do it. Peanut butter, just you got a craving, eat the peanut butter. That was the old school way to do it. And so I know what cravings are like, Zach. I know what it's like to be in that and to have an experience where I was using the tobacco, sitting with it ceremonially for probably 4 months in a row, each day, just as many times as I was called to, as I felt was necessary. Not that I needed to feel the buzz. That wasn't what I was going after. And so clearing the chakras, applying the tobacco, and then doing healing work. So taking a crystal and holding it at these areas and feeling them clear, right? And so this is what we're wanting to teach people, is how to have a conscious relationship with a plant. And this is exactly why we're bringing in the tobacco ceremony in the full moon, because it's a once a month relationship with tobacco. That's it. You sit with it once a month, and that might be relationship with it. Or perhaps you don't even imbibe it at all. You just show up to the circle and you also receive the clearing effects from it. Because Zach, I have distance clients that I work with. I've got a couple of clients that are clearing Kansas 500 miles away. And just to kind of set the stage, I was studying to be a Western medical doctor. I was very science. I was very, the bacteria creates disease and illness, and all of the ways in which typically you see the Western mind looking at things, until I got my lid blown off because I tore my fat pad in my knee, and somebody used a tuning fork, and it took 15 minutes, and the 25 to 30 pain days I was experiencing instantly vanished. So I'm like, okay, there's absolutely something to this here. And so when I'm working with these distance clients, there was one time when my divine guidance said, it's time for tobacco. I said, okay. And I made it happen. And the person on the other end of the screen didn't have any tobacco. And I thought maybe that they had mentioned that they like to enjoy cigars every once in a while. Well, they didn't have anything with them. And so I'm like, okay, well, just try this and see what happens. So I had the tobacco. I connected with the plant, and I was able to guide that energy to that person, and they actually felt the energy come into the body in the same way that it feels if they were the ones actually imbibing the tobacco. It was incredible.
You also have another event that's going to be a community event coming up that is around mushrooms.
Yes.
You want to tell us a little bit about that one?
Yeah. Well, so we grow gourmet mushrooms here. We've got a sterile environment, and so what we're talking about really with the gourmets is lion's mane and oysters. And so we found that when you combine lion's mane with a few other plants, that you can actually get a neuroregenerative sort of experience and process happening. And so, I've been studying the usage of all of the different types of medicinal mushrooms, and specifically the usage coming out of Oaxaca in Mexico. And Oaxaca is spelled Oaxaca, not how you think it would be spelled. And this is
It
really
almost sounds like my kind of spelling right there, buddy.
yeah, exactly. Robert Wasson went down to Oaxaca in 1955, and he found Maria Sabina, and she had been working with the plant medicine with mushrooms, with magic mushrooms specifically, for a multitude of years. And he finally was allowed to sit in their ceremony, witness it, have the experience. His depression was entirely lifted. Anything that he had going on was lifted. And he brought this substance back, and they were able to isolate the active compounds. But not only that, Zach, this is where statins come from. This is the first plant that they were able to synthesize statins. So all mushrooms contain statins, a very small amount of that. So if statins are something that a person takes regularly, perhaps they could take a higher dose of something like reishi or turkey tail or lion's mane. And these three are gourmet mushrooms. They're also medicinal mushrooms, though. Okay. So the medicinal properties are non-psychoactive. Lion's mane works on the brain. It is non-psychoactive, though. And so, there are tons of ways that people can get healthy mushrooms into their diet, into their lives. There's a brand called Host Defense. It's a great brand. They use mycelium. If you're looking at mushroom tinctures, you want to steer towards the double and triple extracted tinctures, because the one of the main active constituents of mushrooms are something called beta glucans. And beta glucans are immune regulating and cancer destroying molecules. Turkey tail has the highest amount, and this is why you probably, maybe some of you have heard of turkey tail being used specifically for cancer, sometimes along with chemotherapy. And when it's used along with chemotherapy, it regulates the immune system enough that people aren't feeling tired or sick. They're not getting sick regularly. The studies, there's a lot of studies out there, and it's phenomenal. And they haven't even studied the individual alkaloids that are in these mushrooms yet, Zach. There is such minimal research that has been done, because these are the answer, my friend. These are, if people knew about this stuff, the big guys would go out of business. They would have no grounds on which to push the medications anymore. So the double and triple extracted tinctures use ethanol and then hot water extraction. The ethanol is the only way that you can get the beta glucans to be fully released from the mushroom. And then the cooking them also does that. It breaks down the cell wall, so the heat. Again, though, it does not get all of the beta glucans out of the mushroom. Now, mushrooms are incredible because they are a plant cell that grows they're an animal cell that grows like a plant. They're a eukaryotic cell. And this is exactly why we find different mushrooms are good for different things. Like poria mushrooms are incredible for kidneys and renal. Turkey tail is really good for immune system and cancer fighting. Lion's mane is really good for neurodegenerative diseases, and for nerve damage. And so these things can entirely replace animal products. Entirely, Zach. And I say that because they've got protein, they've got magnesium, they've got fiber, they've got vitamin D, they've got collagen, they've got and B vitamins even. The vast array. Cordyceps are one of the mushrooms that contain a high amount of B vitamins. Some of you may have heard of cordyceps. It is starting to make its way into some of the sports supplements. So you slam a drink that's the powder before you go and work out, and it gives you energy, right? Well, people are finding that cordyceps do the same thing, and it's a natural way of doing it. So we've been growing these gourmets, and we only grow the gourmets, Zach. We're not currently growing and haven't been growing any of the psilocybin containing mushrooms. We know Prom 22 is on the ballot this year, and that shifts a lot of things for a lot of people. And I'm really hoping that it goes through. There are people that are upset about it, um, and they're upset. One of my dear friends is actually a leader in pushing and guiding Prop 122, which is the decriminalization of natural medicines for Colorado, for the whole state.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is a very, very important proposition. And the story that she says that her elder, she is an amazing woman. One of the elders from her tribe said that a compromise is a good compromise when no one agrees, when no one is happy. And so the people who want to make a lot of money off of these substances and selling them, they're not happy, right? The people who don't want anybody to make money and just want the plants to be available to whoever, they're not happy. The indigenous people who first use these plants, they're not happy. And so from her perspective, she says, this is a good compromise because no one is happy. It is a good start, right? And doing the math, Zach, if Prop 122 doesn't go through, 12,000 more veterans will die by suicide in the next 2 years because this proposition did not go through. There are so many veterans that have tried psilocybin-containing mushrooms and just one experience have a complete relief from their PTSD, complete relief from the night terrors, complete relief from the depression, the anxiety, all of that weight. Man, it brings me to tears to think about this, that we in Colorado now have the power to say yes to Prop 122. And when we do that, we are saying, yes, we want to help our veterans. We are saying
the most important
yes.
thing about this, Chad, that has to be said. You're not talking about something that's synthetic. You're not talking about something that's created. You're talking about something that you pick.
Yeah.
You're talking about something that comes from the ground that you don't add chemicals to. You grow it. You ingest it. That's it. It's not like, and we're going to hear the same terms that we've heard about everything. Gateway is what it is. All right. You can believe that if you want, but you know what? As far as I'm concerned, in which this one's not, but the things that come in these little containers, they're gateways. Okay. This leads to heroin. A lot of times, it really has to do with the people who use it. I have my own belief on it, and let's put it this way, Chad, you're gonna love the way I'm gonna vote on that. So you're gonna love the way I'm gonna vote on that, because I do believe that there are a lot of things with if we as a species are using things that we don't have to put in a beaker and mix other things with to make things better, I think that's kind of, and this is using, this is putting religion into it. That's kind of what it was there to do. That's what the plant was there to do. And so it, in my mind, is one of the safer things to do, because when we're all we're doing is we're pushing drugs down people's throats that are created by man, that's not natural.
Yeah.
This is something that, first off, we're not pushing them down your throat, one. And the second thing is that we as humans are not doing anything to make it dangerous. And so, going
Zach,
ahead.
Zach, do you know why psilocybin mushrooms are non-addictive?
No.
If any person that you know has ever taken psilocybin containing mushrooms, they will speak to this. And the reason it is non-addictive is because if you take more and you continue to take more, it might not necessarily be a fun time. It's not this party drug that people think that it is. The people in Oaxaca have so much respect for this medicine. They actually, their belief is that the mushroom is the flesh of God. That you are communing with the divine when you ingest this mushroom. They have so much respect for this mushroom. They don't have sex for 4 days before a ceremony and 4 days after. This is the type of information that I teach people, Zach. This is the nuggets. These are all the good, the wonderful things. How were these people using it? What was the knowledge that they ascertained from their usage? And how is it that we can use it to enhance our own lives? You know, there are even ways that people can do this, like microdosing, right? You can take a small amount of the substance to where it's not going to impair you enough that you couldn't go and do your day and live and be a normal human being. And there's so much research that speaks to when you have the right formulation of these different things, psilocybin containing mushrooms, lion's mane, and niacin in the right ratio, it actually increases neuroplasticity through the roof. You've got neurogenesis happening, stem cells, adult stem cells differentiating into new neurons, neural connections being completely cleaned, revamped, wiped. You've got the myelin sheath, the fat shielding that's on the tail of the neuron that connects to other neurons being completely renewed. Better insulation means better electrical signal firing. And they've done research with this with people who are 55 plus, pre-Alzheimer's dementia, pre-cognitive decline. They were initiating the tap test. You hit a button when you see something come on the screen. And if you hit that button within a certain amount of milliseconds, it scores you a point. They were scoring at a 48, Zach. And that is much below normal cognitive functioning range. Okay. Mm-hmm. They took these capsules with this specific ratio for a week, tested them again. All of the subjects were scoring at a 68%, at a 68, which is normal cognitive functioning rate. Okay. These plants have been around for thousands of years. There is evidence in Africa, actually, in a cave painting, 9,000 BC, that is, they call it the bee man. And it's this man, and he's standing like this. And he's got a bee for a face, and it's a stinger for the chin. And he's got mushrooms that are growing off of every single part of his body. And they're like, okay, so how do these connect bees and mushrooms, right? And the connection, Zach, is that back then in these areas, they were more tropical. They had a higher humidity. The only way to preserve the magic mushroom was honey. They would dip them. They would completely encase the mushroom in honey, and it would preserve it 100%. So that's the link between, right? You think about our ancestors who were hunters and gatherers. Psilocybin containing mushrooms are dung lovers. They love the poop. Okay. And so as we're tracking animals, how do you track animals? Well, you use their feces. You find the trail. You say, oh, okay, this is fresh. This is dry. We know the animals are nearby, right? And so at a certain point, one of our ancestors would be wandering along and see the dung, and they'd see, oh, a mushroom growing off of it. Well, as they say, Zach, mushroom hunters are either bold or wise. They're never both. Right? But,
I like that.
somebody had to try that mushroom for the first time, and when they tried it and they realized, hey, look, Ed didn't die. This is good. We can eat these.
Ed didn't die, and look how funny he is right now.
he's having a great time. You need to find more of those. So this is ultimately, there's a theory that speaks to these psilocybin containing mushrooms actually spurring growth in our prefrontal cortex that differentiated us from our Donavisian and different hominid ancestors. That it actually was a thing that started to grow that prefrontal cortex. And so, Zach, it makes total sense why these plant medicines are really, they have developed along with us. Mushrooms have been around for millions of years. The oldest organism on the earth is a mushroom mycelium colony that's up in Washington. It is 3.2 miles in diameter.
Oh my God. Wow.
It is a massive, massive underground colonization of mushrooms. Mushroom spores can survive the vacuum of space.
Wow.
So thinking about our planet being seeded, perhaps even with these spores, with these mushrooms, they are the only reason that we don't have piles of trash laying around everywhere. They're the only reason why you can throw a banana peel out the window and it disappears. They're the decomposters. You can take compost and you can inoculate it with one type of mushroom, and then after that mushroom's done, you can inoculate it with another type of mushroom. That mushroom's done, another type of mushroom. That mushroom's done, a fourth type of mushroom. And at the end, Zach, what you have is loam, and you have a really, really nutritious, the plants love this stuff. It goes back into the soil, and the whole cycle can repeat. So we talk about creation, we talk about destruction, we talk about the mushroom being the flesh of God. And if God is all things, God is everything, he contains everything, then he's all the good and all the bad. It's all of it, the full spectrum, right? And this is exactly why people can have varying different experiences with this mushroom. And this is why having a guide is so incredibly important. And what this does, what Prop 122 does, is it not legalizes, excuse me, that is the wrong word, decriminalizes the people who are stepping into and creating a safe space for people to use these substances and these plants. The mushrooms aren't even really a plant, right? And we can just lump them into that category though, because they grow like a plant. Mushrooms go on mycelium and it grows out of the ground and it grows in trees. We have grain lovers, we have the dung lovers, right? But we also have wood lovers. And so here, these are called big trumpets. And they are a type of oyster mushroom that makes for some really good eating. A little bit of olive oil, some sphagneri seasoning on there, throw it in the air fryer. This tastes like steak. I kid you not. I took it to my neighbor. He's a meat and potatoes kind of guy. Right? And I was like, you got to try these. Come on, man. I was like, they taste really good. They're kind of like steak. And he grabs one and he's like, he said, it tastes exactly like steak. He's like, I think it's better than steak. And to hear him say that, I'm like, wow, that is a major, major compliment, So we got another, actually, just to kind of show, this picture shows the plastic bag back there.
Right.
That is the mycelium. And in that bag is grain and or wood shavings. And so the process for us growing these is it's in a completely sterile environment. And so they put the wood, they put the grain into those bags and they pasteurize it. And then they inoculate it with spores of the mushroom. And once it's inoculated, it sits in incubation for 2 to 3 weeks, and you have the mycelium completely colonizes the substance that you have in there. And you have to pasteurize it, because if you don't, mold and other things that are have spores will grow in there. Bacteria, they're just like animal cells. Remember, they're like our cells, eukaryotic cells. They get sick. And this is exactly why whenever I go into this sterile grow, I wear an N95 mask. This is one thing, Zach, that I am so happy that COVID gave me. I had a box of N95 masks that weren't being used. And I'm like, yes, I don't even have to buy it. I already got it for the mushroom grow and got everything going. This right here is a picture of lion's mane mushroom. They're absolutely beautiful. And they look so funky. But this is what they look like sliced up. Okay. And if you're cooking mushrooms, pro tip, slice them up, throw them in the pan for 5 minutes without oil first. It dehydrates the mushroom for about 5 minutes. Then you add the oil and your seasoning. And I can guarantee you that it is a game changer when you're cooking these specialty gourmet types of mushrooms, okay? This is what the lion's mane looks like after it's cooked, Zach.
Wow. Wow.
And then just to give you an idea as far as the texture, look at this. That's the slice of it.
Well, it even looks like meat. I mean, it really does.
And from my perspective, this tasted better than chicken. I said it. It tasted better than chicken. And I gotta tell you, Zach, I used to hate mushrooms. I used to despise the texture and the taste and everything. The slime, it just wasn't for me. With these specialty mushrooms, though, it's much, much different. You get that more of a meat sort of feeling to it. And I like these a lot. You can also use lion's mane to create imitation crab cakes. So everything's hand shredded in a bowl, and then you mix together, all the sauce, and you throw it in there. And man, we had some amazing crab cakes. We did some for a social event, some testers, and we did some Mediterranean oyster quiche that also had a little bit of bacon and stuff in there. And man, they all got eaten so fast. Everybody loved it. And even those who they came up like, I don't normally like mushrooms, and I like you, and so I'll try. I will try. And each person, I mean, I've gone back to them since then, and each person has really had just very, very nice things to say. Not about me. They like me. They had really nice things to say about the mushrooms and about their experience, and saying, I actually think that I could eat these. Somebody even placed an order for some lion's mane after they tried them, and they said, I don't know that I'm going to try the mushrooms. Thank you for bringing them. But it's not my thing. And I said, bro, you got to try the mushrooms.
Well, I foresee soon coming to the pACT channel a cooking show with Chad and Madeline and their mushroom of choice. So I think that we could have a lot of fun on that. Hey, Chad, why don't you go do me a favor and give us a date on the first event, and how do people get a hold of you on how to get one of the 20 seats for that?
Yeah, so let me just pull onto here, Zach. Let's see. So we've got the full moon circle on the 7th at 6 p.m. And that one is a donations based. So, if it's suggested $20 donation, if you don't have $20 to donate, and that $20 goes towards the gas to get here, you're not going to be turned away. We're absolutely going to accept you with open arms. And that's why we leave it as a donations based sort of thing. We've got our men's circle that's going to start on the 9th, and that starts at 7 p.m. We've got let's see here. We've got our online event that I can send over the Zoom link. It's at 2 p.m. on the 15th. And that is to learn about emotional transfiguration therapy. So just learn about it, learn what it can do for you, learn a little bit more about how it can help to improve your life in every single way. Our drum circle is on the 17th at 6:30. The drum circle, the only requirement with that, it's a completely free event. So is the men's circle. The drum circle, it requires you to bring a drum, and or a shaker or some sort of percussion instrument that you can play along with the drum circle. That's our only requirement for the drum circle. We've also got a community breath work that's a completely free event, Friday the 18th at 6 p.m.
Okay.
That is when that starts. And the new moon circle is on the 23rd at 6 p.m. That is a donations-based event. And then we've got our breathwork and sound healing, which is the, like I mentioned earlier, the only class that we're charging for right now, really, is the it's $40 admission, and it's on the 2nd of December at 6 p.m. It's a 3-hour retreat. It is absolutely a masterful and beautiful experience. So please join us if that calls to you. As far as getting in contact and getting a spot for the community breathwork, you don't need RSVP on Facebook. We got the Facebook link up right now. Check it out if you're on Facebook. Send me a message either to the Biocentrik or directly to Chad Harrison. And I will get you added to the Rainbow Tribe Yurt group, which was where we post all of the events. The other option is to reach out with the phone number that we've got available or email address. And then we can get you set up on, we're going to open up a Telegram channel. So if you've got a smartphone, which I think probably 95% of people do these days, it's just a simple click of a button, an app called Telegram, Telegram. It's the first one that shows up. It's got like a paper airplane with a blue circle surrounding it. It's an encrypted end-to-end messaging app. It also allows for broadcasts, channels. So we'll set up a Rainbow Tribe Yurt channel, and all of the events will be posted there. And then you would be able to reply to me directly on Telegram to save your spot. So email, phone, the number we have provided, you can text us at that number, and just say, hey, I would like to RSVP, save a spot for me. Give us your name, your information, your contact info, so that way if we need to change anything at all, or if the weather's crazy and we need to just reach out, then we have the ability to do that. Yeah, other than that, we've got a couple of other, we work with people one-on-one, Zach, and that's where the magic happens. Because the main thing that we believe is, and I don't know if anybody can tell this just from listening, I am not a trained educator. However, I really like teaching people. I really enjoy imparting knowledge. I really enjoy improving people's lives in all ways possible. And I'm a jack of all trades. I blow glass. I grow gourmet mushrooms. I do healing work. I do contracted delivery work, and for the time being, when I need to make a little bit of money here and there. I'm a musician. And so the beautiful thing is, Zach, I incorporate all these things into the healing work. The healing is the main focus. Any of the stuff that I play with my classical guitar, finger style, or my hand pan, it's all with the intention of healing folks. And so we don't want to be the holders of the drop table. We don't want to say, hey, you have to come in anytime you want help and you want anything done, you have to come in to be able to experience our work and experience that drop table, right? We don't have a drop table, by the way. This is a reference and a metaphor to chiropractic care.
Yes.
And I know that there are those chiropractors out there that send their clients home, their patients home with things. And there are those chiropractors that don't. They want them to come back, pay the $20, or maybe they pay a $30 a month subscription sort of situation, and they can come back and get as many adjustments as they need. Well, Zach, we want to send the drop table home with you. We want people to have these tools and be able to use them themselves, right? It's just like the decriminalization of natural medicine for Colorado. We believe in giving the power to the people and returning the tools to the people. These tools are incredible. We are able to get done with these tools what typically used to take us an hour. We can do that now in just a matter of minutes, Zach, and you've experienced it. That headache disappeared just like that. And so we not only heal people and do healing work with people and do the group work, we also teach people our modality. And we don't just teach people the modality. It's not one of those, we sign up for a group, you come there for a week or a couple weekends for the next few months. This is it's an integration into your life, and you get 32 plus hours, and emphasizing the plus there, because we spend as much time as we need to with folks. That's truly what we do, what we believe in. So it's at least 32 hours. Maybe if you're super proficient, maybe it's only 32. It's definitely at least 32. And also teaching them the tools along the way. So what this means is that in between sessions, they're able to use emotional transfiguration therapy on themselves. They don't have to wait for the next session. They don't have to come in for an extra session. And we actually offer, they're gifted 30-minute to an hour phone call, video chat in between your sessions. If you have something that's coming up for you and you need help with it, we're there. We make ourselves available. And so, what we've really done, Zach, is created a way for people to learn this and to receive healing work for a minimal fee per month. We're talking $300, a year and a half commitment. And so the difference between the year and a half, year and 6 months is the price per month. It's the same price. We have actually allowed ourselves to spend more time with folks, the longer time period, and do just that $300 a month. And the services that we offer range anywhere from $100 to $500. So we literally have something for everyone. And if you have a budget right now and you don't have room in your budget for that, and we will work with you. We have plenty of projects and jobs that we're doing that we can offer people significant discounts. Just for showing up and starting to get people engaged in the community. We also have a referral program. I mean, we've got tons of options for people to be able to essentially come up with their end of the energy exchange. Because that's how we see it. It's an energy exchange, your time for our time. And sometimes that time translates into dollar bills, and other times it doesn't. And we are totally willing to work with people. I want to see this be available for everyone. And that's the ultimate vision, Zach. We're wanting to build a wellness center. And this is going to be a very unique wellness center because it is also going to be a school. We're going to have acupuncturists, massage therapists, people who do energy work, different healing work, therapists that will part-time do that work. And then because they love children and they love teaching, part-time teaching. So we're going to teach the kids this is the stuff we should have learned in elementary school, Zach. Yeah. These are the things that we should have been taught so that we, instead of shoving our emotions down, we were able to process them. We were able to actually make sense of it and let go of the meaning that we had associated. And so we want to create something that is absolutely amazing and beautiful. And it starts with all of you out there that are listening right now. You are the key. I have the vision. I have the ability to direct these things. I've already started it. I was told, build it and they will come. And I felt like Noah a couple different times building an ark. I'm like, I don't know about this, bro.
Well, and just remember, they are one of our platinum partners. They've, as we mentioned before, you know what, you come in, you find a better version of yourself, and you get to help other people through their own difficulty simply by sending us letting them know that you found them through us, because they're going to donate to the cause of your choice. So, well, Chad, I appreciate this, brother. Thank you so very much. I look forward to the next couple of weeks. Hopefully we're going to run into each other 1 or 2 or a dozen times, whatever it may be. But we're going to be working together, hopefully a lot more than we've been able to the last couple of years. So
Absolutely, Zach. I'm planning on being there. I believe it's on the 13th for your chili cook-off, right?
that is where the chili
Oh
cook-off. Yep,
man.
on the 13th.
Oh
So
man, I am gonna be. Hey, can I sign up to be a chili judge? Is that a thing? Are we
you know
doing
what? Yep. All you got to do is come on in, and that's one of the great things is we all get to be the judge.
Oh,
So,
awesome! I love it.
but,
I love it.
so, all right, Chad. Huge love to you,
Yes, thank you so
Madeline.
much, brother.
I cannot wait to see you guys. So, but we'll talk to you soon.
Love you, brother.
Speaking of the chili cook-off, we're going to be back in just a moment. We're going to be talking a little bit more about that. So stick around. And again, Chad, thank you very much, brother.
Thank you, Zach. Namaste.